All right. There we go. I might need to just tip my screen a tiny bit more. There we go. So nestle into your chairs, everyone. Let the soles of your feet ground and the crown of your head lift. Just take a moment to draw your shoulders to your ears and drop them down your back body. Deep, beautiful breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Start to pay attention this morning to the space between your armpit and down the side body to your hip. And notice if that space feels long and extended or perhaps a little bit collapsed. As you sit here, just imagine the heavy particles, molecules of your body sinking down into your hips and legs. And those that are very light floating up to the crown of your head. Feel the lift that the crown of your head draws itself towards the ceiling as the breath starts to draw in and out of your body. Sit bones ground, crown of your head tall. Start to lift the shoulders up to your ears. And as you exhale, let them fall gracefully, dropping down your back. And then roll them up, roll them to the ears again, and drop them down your back. Just allow the inhale to feel the lift of the shoulders and the exhale to feel them drop back. Nice. Settling into the sit bones and lifting through the crown of your head. Your hands can fall down beside you. The next breath in, just sweep those hands up towards the sky, and the breath out, the hands can release down. They don't have to touch, they can just lift and they can lower. So your goal isn't to take the hands all the way up and touch them together. The goal is just to feel them rise as your breath comes in and feel them release as the breath goes out. Somehow like the breath is in charge. Your movement isn't bossing around your breath. Your movement is following the invitation of the breath. And so as you inhale, the movement just floats up. And then as soon as the inhale ends and the exhale begins, you float that movement down. And then bring the fingers to the knees, and we'll do the same thing, except we're going to open like this. So the big inhale kind of lifts the chest up, lengthens the spine, and the exhale curls down. You can even tuck your chin here. Rolling open, and then nice cocooning closed. Allowing that breath to expand you. And then feeling the release of that breath. Breathe in and breathe out. Nice. Breathing in and breathing out. Good. Let yourself come to a nice tall spine, fingers on the ends of the knees, and just move this way without the arms now. The spine reaching back behind you. And then sliding the chest forward, lifting the head high, breathing. This movement is like slowly lubricating all the tightness. So you feel like each movement brings a little bit more smoothness and control. Each movement releases a little bit of that tightness from the back body. Nice work. And then as you come back up to center, drop the shoulders down your back. Just shake your head gently, feeling like you're gonna let the skull, the brain just float to the top of the spine. Bring your hands to your heart. Twist to the right, come through center, twist to the left. Yeah, breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Sweet work. Every exhale, you just feel yourself slide into that twist, noticing how far you can let the body go before your breath gets tight and sticky, before you're pressing into a movement where the breath is almost stopping you from going. You're trying to notice as soon as that breath gets tight and restrict the movement there. Just not squeezing the breath right out of yourself. Good. As you come back to center now, these hands can kind of come onto your waist or even higher up to your ribs. Sort of just notice in your shoulders what's comfortable there. Shoulders roll down our backs and then tip. Bring yourself up to center, and as you tip the other side. So here's my challenge to you. Can the sit bones stay evenly connected to the chair as sweet work, and then release. Shoulders drop down your back body. Yeah. Allow your bum to just be right on that edge of your chair. The feet come in so that the knees are over top of the toes. We're going to practice our coming to standing pose right now. And the biggest thing here is that we don't leverage from our arms. We train our body when we come to standing to leverage through the feet and legs. So as you lean forward here, notice your body's inclination to want to press off your hands. And instead, see if you can let these hands like just set lightly or across here, and then press firmly into the feet. Start to straighten the legs. Bring your spine right up. Allow yourself to stand tall. Good work. I'm going to come stand behind my chair now. And taking a step back with just my right leg, bring your hands to that hip crease. I think I'm going to take my sweater off. Bring your hands to that hip crease and fold forward and then come back up again. So if your spine was a long straight line, it was all fused together, then it's almost like the tailbone is being lifted up and then the tailbone is pointing down again. You just allow yourself to fold and come back up on the pivot of those hips. There's a breath out and a breath in. Doesn't really matter, but notice it's not your sort of rib cage pulling you forward and your rib cage pushing you back, right? It's not about that upper body leading you. It's like you can feel, if your hands were on the pelvis, you can feel the bones of your pelvis swaying back and forth. Good. Change legs. The opposite one is forward now. And it's the same deal. If at any point you need the extra balance, your hands can just be on that chair. It's a little sway forward and a little sway back. Really practice that tailbone going down. Now, I'm not positive, but there might be someone here this week who's just finishing up that hip replacement. And so you might be taking care right now just to move in the range of motion that supports the pelvis learning how to move on the top of the leg after that. Supports all of the healing that has to happen in those muscles, letting them get out of tension and back into integrity and good movement. So good. Fingers come to the back of the chair. Feet are grounded. You come up onto your tippy toes and go back down again. So just notice here how much you lean forward when you come up. And just allow yourself to try and go as much to the ceiling as forward, right? We'd much rather go right up to the ceiling. Yeah. Just I can even hear like a little click happening in one of my ankles. Just imagining that the movement here too is bringing in some lubrication. Oh, good lines of muscles engaged all the way up to my bum cheeks, and release. Take one foot, let the toenail side of the foot go down into the floor. If it feels okay, you can lean back into it. And then release that side and put the other toes back and lean back into it. So good. All right, I'm going to stand with my toes apart, but my heels still hip width apart. Bend into those knees. So you might be bending like this much. You get to choose. You're only bending so that the knees go out over the toes. You're not going too far. And then the heels lift and you come up and the heels go down. Allow the knees to bend. Lift the heels. Press into a tippy toe position. Let the heels settle. So usually there's one side of this where there's a lot of quivering happening in the legs. That's okay. It's nice, smooth movement. We're engaging and asking the chains of muscles through those legs to get nice and strong. Good. Now this time, we're actually going to lift the heels first and then let the knees reach out. And then this is where my legs quiver, putting the heels back down on the ground and then straightening the legs. Lift, knee bend, heels down, straighten, lift, knee bend, heels down, straighten. There's too many things happening here on this phone. Good. Yay. Last one. Heels down. Good. Now just separate those legs a little bit. Your toes can still point out. Feel the sway happen in these hips here. What we're always trying to do in this class is we're reminding your body where the movement comes from. We want to be able to take the low back out of the picture and remind the body that where the legs go into the hip sockets, there's so much potential there for range of motion, for mobility. So we try and get it there. So as you sway side to side here, you're careful not to sort of move the whole body like in a twist. It's not a twist, it's like sideways movement. Now we'll take this to triangle. So for me, right toes will turn to my chair, left toes are gonna face forward. My hips go back to the left. And then if you can see your reflection, maybe you can, maybe you can't. So you're just gonna imagine a straight line from the crown of your head all the way to your tailbone. Top hand here. Front arm can definitely be on that chair. So here I always find that we kind of do this and these top ribs pop up to the ceiling. So think about those top ribs sort of pulling down, pressing down, and feel at the same time how this bottom side body lengthens. That's what we're looking for. Then the whole chest goes from facing the ground to opening up a little bit, just turning that top shoulder, opening up. You can choose if you keep the top hand on your hip. You can choose if you let those hands just reach out. Nice work. Soles of your feet press into the floor and then lift yourself all the way up. Hands release down, knees bend, step yourself back together. We're gonna do triangle on the other side. For me, that means moving my chair so you can still see me. Left toes point. Right toes come to face forward. My hips kick backwards to the right. I slide them as far to the right as they'll go. Yeah. So pay attention first to your spine so that you're not kind of rolled forward. That top rib reaches in. You get length on the bottom side of the body. And then it's that 1 degree turn as you open the chest up to the sky, choosing if this top hand wants to go up or down. Breathe. Breathe. Beautiful. And then the hand releases. Press into the feet. Bring yourself all the way back up. Nice knee bend. Step your feet together. Fingers can come to the back of the chair. Long, flat stretch out. Beautiful. Knees bend. Press through the hips. Sweet. And then bring yourself back. Good work. Okay, warrior one. Standing behind this chair, taking a step back with my right foot, bending my left knee. So you get to sort of decide where that stance is for you. Pressing that left knee forward as far as it will go, keeping that right heel pressed down into the mat. Breathe here. If breath can still be full in the body and the hands can leave the chair, you can bring yourself up into a warrior one. You want your hips facing that chair, you want your shoulders facing forward, and then those arms can come to whatever position they want. Firm press into that back heel as you reach your front knee forward. Keep that back heel pressing down into the ground. Keep breathing there. Soften these ribs, so if they're flaring forward, your ribs, just let the ribs soften down even as your arms lift, because we want the arms to be able to move without creating a back bend. So soften those bottom ribs as you lift your arms. Good. Then bring the hands down to the chair, straighten that front leg, and feel the tailbone reaching back behind you. As you fold forward, you'll get a big stretch in the front leg. So stay where that feels okay in the body. Breathing deep, breathing deep. Firm press in through the feet, gentle bend into the knees, taking a nice big step forward and left. Beautiful. Left foot steps back, right knee bends. This motion that we're doing almost feels like an opposition. One leg is pressing backwards, pressing down. The opposite leg is reaching forward, pressing up. And you're feeling sort of that opposition through your legs. Like they're trying to like split a piece of paper in half. Yeah. Get relaxed, arms can lift. My computer just said it's unstable. So I just stayed in the same position as I was while it was unstable. Good. Now straighten that front knee. Lengthen through the crown of your head and start to fold forward. Yeah. Feel the stretch that you're creating in through the front leg. Breathe. Hanging onto the back of the chair, let's do another stretch out. Countertop stretch. This is Ardha Uttanasana, half forward fold. Allow yourself to get a nice low back stretch. That might be knees bending, sit bones pushing. That is what really lets the low back feel nice. And if one arm hurts, one arm doesn't have to do this. Good work. Coming back. Nice. Okay. Taking that idea of finding movement in through that leg socket, I'm gonna take my right heel and just slide it backwards. See how far I can slide it backwards before I fold forward, right? So I wanna stay upright and push and push and push with the right, settle the right. Do the left, push the heel back, push the heel back, push. Let's do one more. Nice. And then release. I'm going to do right leg out to the side. So same thing. I'm not leaning. I just want to see that leg. If you were someone who's been going to physio, that you might be thinking of that exercise where they put a TheraBand around your ankles. Yeah, same kind of thing. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Another leg. Breathe. Out to the side. Nice. And then everything comes back to center. When we go to do the knee lifts to the front, I'm gonna bring us so that this chair, I don't know, I think we're gonna need to touch it at some point, okay? So I'm gonna have my left hand on the chair, my right hand and my right knee lift up in front of me. And then the right hand and right knee point down to the floor. Then I lean forward. Point knee and hand down to the floor. Inhale them to reach them up in front of me. Point them down to the floor. Lean forward. Yeah. So like this movement here is all your right shoulder, right hip. Right shoulder, right hip. And then feel how this is your left hip. Yeah. Left leg bone. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more time. Lift, down, reach, down. Good work. And relax. You might need to paddle that out a little bit. Okay, you ready to do the other side? I have to move my chair because I want my left hand to be able to move. So my right hand's going to be on the chair. Left knee, left arm reaches out in front of me. Then I point them down to the ground, and then I tip myself forward. Come down to the ground. So breathe in, breathe out. Tip forward with an inhale, back down with an exhale. Beautiful lift. Release that lift. Tip forward and release the tip. Yeah. 1, 2, 1. Last one. 2. So some of you found that that was way easier on one side of your body than it was on the other. Just let yourself have a wide leg stretch before you start doing hula hoop poses where you're spinning this. Gently letting the pelvis just sort of roll over the top of the leg bones. Whichever direction you're going, let yourself go both. Yeah. Yeah. Nice work. Nice work. That's one of our sort of goals here, is to get good range of motion happening in that hip socket and in our spine. I feel like those are the two things that we concentrate on most here. That spine, letting ourselves go side to side here. So thinking of the spine, inhaling those arms all the way up to the sky. You can stay here. You can keep going. You can touch. And then I want you to side bend. Remember that if that feels better to have a chair, you're welcome to keep a chair for your fingertips. And as you move side to side, remember when we were on the chair, I asked you to see if you could keep the sit bones connected. Here, what I'm asking you to do, see if you can keep equal weight down each foot. So even as you side bend, I'm not loading all my weight onto one leg. I'm keeping it even on both legs as I tip sideways. So that it's like you let your foundation be strong so that your upper body can be fluid. Yeah. Nice work. And then let yourself come back down to center. I'm going to do this one sideways so it's easy to see. If you are someone who has a block at home, you're welcome to use it. If we were at the yoga studio right now, I would be saying to put that block right between your upper thighs, right up between the upper thighs, close to the pelvis, closer to the pelvis than the knees. If you don't have a block at home, don't worry. You're just imagining that these muscles on the inner thigh kind of squeeze in on that block, okay? And then you slide your back down an imaginary wall. Yeah, so let your weight go down into the whole four corners of the soles of the feet. Allow your thighs to squeeze together. You can be up higher if the knees hurt at all. And now relax the low back. It's almost like you're going to release the tailbone, let it get heavy to the floor, like someone just hung an anchor on it. Feel these quads work harder. Breathe. You can stay right here, or perhaps you let those arms reach out in front of you. The legs will burn here for sure. 2 more breaths. Hands reach down. Let yourself stand. Good work. Release, release, release. Wiggle that out. So good. So good. All right. We'll do just a tiny bit of a balance pose today. Kind of in line with that TikTok-y kind of pose we did. Your right heel comes off the ground and the knee reaches up in front of you. I'm going to use a hand to still hang out there. Left fingers come to meet that knee. Then if it feels okay to let your right hand reach behind you, it can, or it can stay right there in the chair. Bring it down. Other side. My left knee is going to lift, and my right fingers come to it. You can stay there, or those left fingers can leave the chair and reach behind you. And that's good. Nice. Fingers to the back of the chair. Long, flat back. Long, flat back. Good. Good work. All right. So, sitting back down in that chair. Sit bones ground. Feel how nice and long it feels in that side body. Feel how like nice and tactile and supportive your legs feel at the moment. Good. All right, so I want the elbows to come up here. You know what, I want to give you an option right now. So some of you might be in your chairs and the elbows might be here. Some of you can do this pose fully. I just noticed there's some of you from my Spray Lights class that are here today too, and you guys might be practicing this pose a different way. So we could do just arms, or you could step one knee behind you, one knee here, elbows open, and then the elbows slide together, but really you're thinking of shoulder blades. Shoulder blades squeeze to the spine, shoulder blades pull away from the spine. And then the front knee starts to go with you. So if the balance and coordination feels okay to practice this today, you're welcome to let that front knee bend and straighten as your elbows come forward and move back. Or you are more than welcome to be in your chair practicing those shoulders here. Good. 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 And then release. Hands come down. Good. So if you're standing, then you need to take a different option around which foot is backwards and which foot is forward. The hands come up to the same position. Maybe just rest them a little bit before we move. The movement here is elbows sliding like away and then coming back together. So it's almost like the quarter turn of a jar lid. Those shoulder blades quarter turning on your back body. And if you're standing, you get to add the knee. Yeah. Good modifications, good choices. You're always making the one that's best for you. Good. And release. If you're seated, just rolling those shoulders out. Hands can shake down by the sides. Nice work. From this chair pose or not, I'm going to give you two options, okay? So it's a warrior two pose. If I'm seated, My legs are going to come over to one side. I'm going to move them over to the right. My right leg stays on the chair. My left leg and bum cheek kind of fall off the chair. And then I sweep that pose back behind me. So warrior two is this one. So we've been practicing this pose this way, and we let that knee kind of press open and close. My chest faces my front knee. Yeah? Now what I want to do is open my body so that back foot is going to turn and press down. I can still be letting the thigh rest on the chair. You could also, if it feels okay for you, allow yourself to slide off that chair. And then it's about turning my torso and extending my arms. Breathe here. Breathe here. You're reaching through the front knee. You're pressing into the pinky toe side of that back foot. Shoulders feel relaxed. Reach through the fingers. So good. Okay? If you're close to the chair, then you get to just turn and pivot again. If you're standing, you're going to make sure that you have enough support to make that kind of pivot pose, because you come from a flat back foot to a lifted back foot. Good. I'm going to tell all of us that we can release back, let the chair hold us as we come out of the pose. Good. All right, let's try the other side. So I'm going to let the knees come to the left. Knees come to the left, my right bum cheek falls right off the chair, my right leg reaches back behind me. Front foot, thighs resting on the chair, front foot's on the floor. You can stay here and then try and just roll that back foot, opening your body on the chair. Sometimes harder. If it's feeling okay for you to bring yourself off that chair, you can try. But either way, you're thinking about, now could I pivot? Could I twist in the spine? Reaching the fingertips out past the toes on either side. Press the pinky toe side of that back foot down into the ground. Let weight reach into the sole of that front foot. So good. Now, I might bring my hands down to relax as I pivot onto the toes of that back foot, staying there for a second. If my front thigh is resting, I might be able to do this a little bit. The knee just pressing backwards a couple times. Sweet, and release. You can feel that right in here, hopefully, getting those hip flexors moving a little bit, getting them, finding some release and some engagement. Nice tall spine, hands come to the ends of knees, and then just, it's not rolling forward. So this isn't sort of like a cow pose or an arched cat pose. The elbows pull in and it's like your chest reaches forward. And then you come back up again. So the spine feels really long. The spine isn't bending, it just feels like you're reaching forward and pressing yourself tall again. Reaching forward and pressing yourself tall again. Nice work. Sweet. Great. Last few minutes of class, we have the opportunity now to choose if you go to the floor. So you're welcome to stay here in the chair and just kind of modify things and do some twisting and things like that. If you are ready to come to the floor, you might choose to put something underneath you. I've given up a yoga mat this summer. I'm using this nice bearskin rug. Good. So as you let yourself come to the floor, you can use the chair as much as you like. You can use other props as much as you like. You can have those blocks. You could have blankets or pillows, whatever you feel like you need. But once you get down onto the floor, I want you to see how much those legs could stretch out in front of you. And here's where I always like to have some sort of prop, anything, so that I could put it underneath my bum. And if I lift my bum up onto it, then My legs feel like they'll go a little bit straighter. If your knees want to bend here, it's absolutely fine. Okay, so you just sort of feel how that is in your body. I'm going to bring my right knee in. So I've got a blanket underneath my bum, my left foot stretched out in front of me, my right knee is in. Fingers sort of hang on to the outside of this, and then soften your shoulders. Feel like the crown of your head lifts to the ceiling. You've just lengthened that side body again. Good. And now when you twist, my left hand hugs the knee, and my right arm just reaches. Sometimes you can lean back and put those fingertips into the ground, but watch that this left arm isn't pulling you. I want you to keep that arm heavy and then feel like you twist as if the twist is coming right from the center of your body, right from the spine. Like those spinal muscles are what's twisting you. And then breathe deep. Let the shoulders roll, let the chin start to float backwards. Breathe deep. Breathe deep. Release the chin, shoulders, chest, belly. Stretch that leg out. Let's come to the opposite side. Nice. My fingers clasp. Spine grows tall. Shoulders roll down the back. And the right fingers are here. So if you're on the chair right now, all you're doing is finding a twist in the upper body. You might be taking one hand and bringing it to the back of the chair. Slide those fingers perhaps onto the floor. Perhaps they're just going to float in space. Every inhale, imagine your spine getting taller, and every exhale, just turn and let the chin start to float to that back shoulder. Breathe. And then chin releases, shoulders release. Nice work. All right, while we're here, the legs can open wide. Now here's one that if the knees lock backwards, it can be kind of uncomfortable. You might find that if you had a couple extra pillows, you could just like pop a pillow or maybe even a block underneath the knee. You can choose. Okay. I want the hands to come up. We're turning to face my right leg, folding over the left. Coming up, turning, folding. All right, so it doesn't matter how big this is. You just get to do what's right for your body today, okay? Find your breath here. You're turning to one side, letting that top arm flow over the body, feeling it open and extend the side body. Yeah. So good. And then release. All right, so heels start to slide together. Knees come up. Some of you, if you've got something underneath your bum, I'm going to actually slide off of that blanket. This next one, we're going to do just a couple easier levels. And if you know the pose and want to go to a harder level, you're welcome to. Lengthen through the crown of your head. Let the shoulders roll down your back. Take your fingers and just find the backs of your thighs and lean backwards. Good. Lift your toes. See if you can be soft through the shoulders and just lift one heel at a time. This is boat pose, so if you're familiar with it, if you're practiced, you're welcome to go into boat. One heel at a time. Good. If this is feeling okay for you, you're welcome to just hang out here. And if that feels okay, you're welcome to let go. But know that right now, even that, it's the beginning. Remember, we didn't do yoga through July and August. And then release. Yay. Crisscross these legs as best as they will. Sit up nice and tall and just feel that. Feel that nice tall spine with your arms kind of heavy on the knees. And if things are really easy for you, you could actually sort of press those legs to the ground. You might be able to really even reach forward. But I find that for lots of people, even sitting tall, shoulders relaxed, letting yourself press those hips towards the floor is enough of a stretch. Good. Come out. Release. One more time with the hands behind. Relax your shoulders. Here it almost feels like a little string pulls your chest up to the sky. And then next time you come to cross your legs, the other foot crosses in. So if you're my lady who's just had a hip replacement, you're ignoring me right now. You're in your chair. You're not doing these poses. Yeah. Good. And release. Nice. I'm going to come down to flat on the floor today. Because I'm assuming that people don't have all the props and stuff that we have at the yoga studio in their homes, then I'm going to try not to use those props. But please feel free right now to give yourself a nice big pillow underneath your head, to put as much padding underneath your back as you might need. And we'll come down onto the floor. I want us to keep the knees bent right now, the soles of the feet flat into the floor, and then just start to let your knees fall open and the knees come back together again. So your fingers can be on the pelvis, the hips stay still. This is purely an exercise of your legs moving in and out. Nice. All right, we're going to take one ankle and cross it. I'm going to start with right. My right crosses over left. And what I find is that if your hips are really tight, you might need that foot to really slide away from the body so that this feels easy to do. And then you'll just move that bent top knee in towards the belly button and out to the side. In towards the belly button, out to the side. Good. And then let's release. Bring in the right knee into the chest. Give it a squeeze. Every time you breathe in, let it be pushed away from your body. And then as you squeeze it in, imagine you're squeezing the breath out of your body. Breathe in. Squeeze the breath out. Breathe in. Squeeze the breath out. One more time in, squeeze the breath out. And then release. Good. Same thing as the left knee comes in, the ankle can cross over the thigh, and you can find whatever pose works for your hips to bring that foot movement into the top ankle, into the top knee, and the bottom leg feels like the hips are all right. Good. When you release this, the knee comes into chest. Give it a squeeze. Breathe in, fill the lungs. Breathe out, squeeze the breath out. Breathe in, fill the lungs. Breathe out, fill it out. Nice. You might bring both knees in now. Hands can just drape to hang on and do rolls on the back body. Whichever way you've chosen to roll, change your direction. If you're seated in your chair still, you might just be doing spinal circles like this. Yeah. Always a way to practice. Nice. So as we finish up class, I want you to find the pose that suits you. So if you are seated in a chair, letting yourself nestle into the back of that chair. If you are on the floor, you can choose if you'd like to use that chair. I know that some of you like to actually have the chair the opposite way and rest your heels way up there on the top so that your legs are straight. So you're welcome to take that pose. If you're here, then it always feels good to have actually the backs of the knees around the ledge of the chair seat. Finding the pose as slowly as you need to that works best for you. If the arms open, doesn't feel good for the shoulders, feel free to just let the arms or the palms wrap across the body, or the hands land on the belly. Give yourself a breath to sink into stillness. We've spent the last 45 minutes just moving through the different joints of the body, offering them lubrication, reminding them of their range of motion and their strength. We've opened up all the doors to the rooms of your house and let air flow in. The beautiful, warm fall, October air. Fantastic. And so now each breath you take, just feel the opportunity you've created for your body to just absorb, soak up all of that goodness in each breath that you bring in. Knowing that the movement you created was like like doing a big house clean. And that you've flushed out all of the tight, restricted areas and you've opened them up again. And right now, as you inhale, the breath can just slide into each corner, each dark nook. Your breath able to offer vitality and energy and strength to each cell of your body. Allow yourself to come back to watching your breath every time you find that your mind has just strayed away. It's caught the current of a different thought. Your attention has been diverted from your breath. Just gently bring it back to breath. Feeling the expansion that happens with every infusion of air. And how the sweet release of your breath, the exhale, takes with it everything your body no longer needs. Just notice that deep relaxation coming into your body. You can make choices now around staying here, kicking off into a meditation. Or perhaps if you're choosing to come back up, you're going to begin with just taking a deep breath, exhaling, maybe out through your mouth, and letting your toes and fingers start to wiggle. Wrists and ankles roll. Both ways. Knees come towards chest again, just for that little squeeze and roll on the low back. And then making choices about how you might want to roll to one side. Noting your best way to press up. You can bring yourself to a seated position on the floor, or you can take yourself right up to a seated position in the chair. Thank you. Thank you for practicing with me on this beautiful October day. Namaste, everyone. Please feel free to unmute and chat.
Thank you, Jill.